So nice to be here. So we are taking a little bit of a different tack on this issue of AI. And can I say that Erwin got back to me last night to say our PowerPoint was acceptable, so we can go ahead and present now. So Erwin Kirsch apologises for not being here. He's the third author of this presentation. I think he was having holidays in Japan or somewhere with Kintaro, or the former main psychometrician. So, and Erwin says hi to everybody, so he's sorry he can't be here. I think he's enjoying retirement. He's retired, not like me. So, so we just want to, Jean-Francois and I just want to share some work that we did starting in, the idea came when the expert groups met for our last meetings when we were writing the proficiency descriptions in May last year. And Erwin always has lots of ideas, so his idea from some readings that he'd done was that this issue and challenge of working in the era of AI and automation was maybe changing the focus on where we might need to, in terms of workplaces, focus the interventions for supporting our workers. And so he came up with this idea. He found some funding, so he paid 3 members of each of the expert groups to have access, who had access to all of the items, both in literacy and numeracy. And our task was really to try and look at what we felt were the key lessons we could learn from what happens as you go up the levels of PIAAC, both in literacy and numeracy, and what was required in terms of people being able to make the most benefit of automation and AI. So we'll try and get through this quickly, and I'll hand over to Jean-Francois when we get to the literacy bit. So the reports have all been published. So there's the hard work, Jean-Francois. The hard work was with those 2 reports on the right-hand side, which is the documentation of the process and the research that the literacy and the numeracy groups went through. So they're longer, probably more painful to read. And then the document called Level Up is us having pulled it together with the team from ETS. So it was very much a collaborative joint project. And I think what's quite innovative about it, and Jean-Francois have been moving this way over our last few years of working together, that the intersections between literacy and numeracy are really pretty close, and that we can learn from each other. And so it is a joint project, and our approach is that if you're going to have interventions in a workplace, or I think in everybody's lives outside of workplaces, literacy and numeracy are intertwined, and maybe they should be addressed together and at the same time. So just quickly to take you through some of the... So I've been, as I mentioned, people who heard me yesterday, been using AI a lot in the last year or so, and my friend, as I call it, you know, we have a lot of disagreements. So I thought I would use AI. You saw my first attempt yesterday, or some of you are producing an illustration which had that disembodied head in it. But so you do need some critical literacy skills or visual skills in terms of reviewing and keeping a tab on what they're doing. So I asked AI to help me, and it knows me, so it knows that I'm interested in adult literacy and numeracy. So it has my history and responds to me as if I'm a friend and a colleague. So you can see that, you know, how it described literacy and numeracy, but also that literacy and numeracy are skills that we can act on and improve people's literacy and numeracy skills. I mean, they're not innate skills, they are actually things that we can work on through education and training. So I just also wanted to share, you know, all the research, and people have been talking about this a lot. And the graph on the left is one from, I mentioned some research from Australia, from the Foundation for Young, the FYA, anyway, whatever the acronym is. But this graph is one that's also in, there's a almost the same graph for the US. So this is from Australian data from Australian Bureau of Statistics. And basically where's my pointer? So the jobs that are disappearing are the ones that are manual jobs, and the jobs that are increasing as we move further and further are the ones that require thinking and problem-solving skills. So this is a consistent finding that all the jobs that are disappearing are the ones where you sit down and shut up and do the same job and don't have to think, and the jobs that are increasing are the ones where you need to be able to think and problem-solve. And all of the other reports that are happening at the moment, and it was mentioned yesterday too, you do need problem-solving. You need to be able to analyse and reason. And that's really what's required in terms of, work and coping with, this AI beast and what's happening in the world of work and automation. And so again, I asked my AI friend what it thought about the importance of literacy and numeracy skills in this era, and you can see that nice shorter. You can read the OECD report from last year and you'll find quite a whole page that says that. So whether AI went and summarised that page for me, I don't know, but it's a nice little statement about it was agreeing with us. I didn't tell it to agree with us, but it was saying that literacy and numeracy skills are more and more important as we go further into the 21st century. So in terms of how we've used the PIAAC data, we used for the next stage the actual items, so we had access to all the items and we analysed those for the changes as you went up the levels. But this data is both the PIAAC Cycle 1 and PIAAC Cycle 2, where we compared, if I just highlight the interesting bits, I want to walk over there, I won't. So this is the percentage of adults who got to the highest two levels in the two problem-solving domains, so the top two levels, and there were different levels for PSTRE and APS. So there's the top two levels in PSTRE in Cycle 1 were 2 and 3, and the top two levels in adaptive problem-solving were 3 and 4. But basically we're comparing, in terms of getting to the top two levels, what does it change as your literacy and your numeracy levels go up from level 2 to level 3 to level 4? So you can see this amazing jump. If you're at level 2 in literacy or in numeracy in PSTRE, as you go up, it increases dramatically your chance of succeeding in problem solving. And if you get up to levels 4 and 5 in literacy or in numeracy, you're almost certain to be able to get those problem-solving questions right. And the same with adaptive problem-solving. You'll see that the percentage as you move from 2 to 3 to 4, 5 increase, pretty substantially. So our theory was that if we can move adults up from 2 to 3 and hopefully moving them even to 4, then their ability to do the things that we now know people need to do in workplaces in terms of having analytical reasoning is going to make a difference. And the other argument in the paper, I'm not sure whether we had this in, was that people who start at level 2 and go to level 3, they're not at the bottom and they have already got some learning to learn metacognitive skills and foundation skills in place. So one of the arguments in the paper is that the chance of them succeeding in this intervention is extremely high and isn't as complex as if they were down at level 1 or below level 1. This is another report that also shows that, the skills that are required in work are technical problem solving and teamwork skills, so it is about access to IT. And of course the percentage of adults who are at levels 2 and 3 are always significant. So if we see them as the target for intervention and supporting them in order to take advantage, have the better, higher level of problem solving skills and reasoning skills and critical reflection skills, then there's a lot of them out there and they're right for working with. So traditionally in adult literacy, and I thumped the table at the end of yesterday to say let's not forget the purpose of PIAAC, which is those adults who are down at level 1 and below level 1. Our argument here is maybe there's another cohort of learners who are in the middle, who are ripe for working with. That is, they have some skills already in terms of their foundation skills, but with interventions that are targeted in the ways that we know work, with the skills that they need to get them from 2 to 3 to 4, then the chances of making those changes are really significant. So all I was saying, in terms of the percentage of adults who are there, it's virtually in all countries it's over 50% are ripe for working with. Same with numeracy. So I'll quickly, so in the definitions and in the construct, what we did from cycle 1 to cycle 2 is highlight this ability to reason and think critically. And that's what we think we need. Again, I showed this yesterday, that we have been able to extend the descriptions because we have a more extensive pool of items, and we've been able to highlight some of the things that we think are important for people to be the skills they need in order to take advantage of automation and AI. And I've highlighted some of those in terms of the numeracy. And we've got a couple of items that were examples, but I'm going to hand over to Jean-Francois just to say these are publicly released items, so you're allowed to look at them. These are examples where we've tried to have something about technology and about critical. So there's something wrong with this. They did enter a measurement incorrectly, so we're asking the respondent to actually try and be critical and find out what the problem was. And the same with this, it's about meeting different criteria. And now I'll hand over to Jean-Francois.